Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I am your host Omar Khalid. Today is of course the 10th of November 2023, and we've got lots to discuss with you, but with a certain perspective, that is from a Pakistani perspective. We've got of course the Prime Minister, caretaker Prime Minister Mr. Kakar Saab, who is in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to attend the OIC's special session extraordinary summit on Palestine. He's also going to hold meetings with various heads of countries on the sidelines of this important mood. It's a very important mood. It's going to happen tomorrow, but of course the perspective of it is extremely important because of the atrocities that are happening on the Palestinian people by Israel, with the count that has reached around 11,000 Gazans, including 4,412 children. The fact also remains that Israel has no intention to stop wheresoever until and unless certain pressure exerted, and for that the OIC meeting remains paramount. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the situation as far as Afghanistan is concerned, with respect to what happened at the ECO as well, where the different important countries met and highlighted the different aspects of cooperation, including Afghanistan, and what needs to be done to include Afghanistan in the fold, and how to bring about the necessary changes for the better as far as Afghanistan is concerned. But when we look at Afghanistan, when we look at the reaction that comes from there, and when we look at the infiltration of terrorist elements from across the border into Pakistan, that solution is likely, but of course it will need the cooperation from the Afghan interim government. Let's see where that goes, and then we'll also be highlighting the Indian atrocities in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. These atrocities that have been going on since decades, with numerous resolutions at the United Nations and different forms of manifestations of the international community on this very issue. The fact that the UNOGIP is not even allowed to enter the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir says a lot for the current state of affairs, where there are more than 900,000 military troops that are present there for the people to not speak their voice, to not say what really is happening there, and of course the barbarities that continue. A lot of similarities between Palestine and Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And finally, we'll be talking about the Pakistan Stock Exchange, ladies and gentlemen, that continues its bullish momentum. The KSE 100 crossed 55,000 level for the first time in its history, and that is the first. That also shows and reflects all of the positive changes that are coming through the government and the initiatives that the government is currently taking. The oil share index also broke its all-time high, reached 36,715.71 as well. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin with our first, ladies and gentlemen, but before we even begin talking about the OIC and the ECO and Afghanistan and illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, we have a very special guest with us to highlight all of these important issues, but from a Pakistani perspective. She is a spokesperson of the Foreign Office. Her name is Mumtaz Zahra Baloch, and she's right here with me in the studios. Thank you very much, ma'am, to have joined us.
My pleasure.
We will start our discussion on the OIC, but before that, let's watch this short report.
The OIC's establishment in 1969 marked a turning point for Islamic collaboration, reflecting the collective desire of Islamic nations to address common concerns and promote solidarity. After the inception, the OIC meetings highlighted the urgent need to address the issue of Palestine and express solidarity with the Palestinian cause. Early meetings expressed unequivocal solidarity with Palestine, condemning Israeli occupation and championing the cause of Palestinian self-determination. Statements from these initial meetings set the groundwork for OIC's enduring commitment to the Palestinian struggle. In 1980, the pivotal OIC summit held in Islamabad marked a significant moment in the organization's history, particularly in addressing the issue of Palestine. The summit, convened against the backdrop of escalating tensions in the region, emphasized the OIC's commitment to finding a just and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian question. During the period of 1990 to 1993, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation played a critical role in supporting and facilitating the Oslo Accords, a series of agreements between Israel and Palestine Liberation Organization aimed at resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The OIC recognized the historic significance of the Accords in advancing the peace process and took active measures to foster a conducive diplomatic environment. While expressing the hope for a peaceful resolution through the Oslo Accords, the OIC also maintained caution and acknowledged potential challenges. From 2000 onwards, the OIC significantly intensified its diplomatic engagement in addressing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This period was marked by increased frequency of OIC meetings, reflecting a collective commitment to addressing the escalating challenges, particularly during events such as the Second Intifada. Resolutions consistently emphasize the urgent need for a two-state solution, advocating for the establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. The OIC convened emergency summits during humanitarian crises, especially in Gaza, which characterized by urgent calls for international intervention to alleviate the immense suffering of the Palestinian population. The organization consistently underscored the gravity of the situation, emphasizing the need for immediate humanitarian aid, cessation of hostilities, and lifting of blockade on Gaza to allow for delivery of essential supplies. As of 2023, the OIC remains actively engaged in addressing the latest Israeli attacks on Gaza. An upcoming extraordinary summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia signals a sustained commitment to finding a just and comprehensive resolution. The participation of Prime Minister Anwarul Haq Kakar of Pakistan underscores the ongoing dedication to advancing international consensus within the OIC. The OIC remains actively engaged in diplomatic efforts to address the latest developments in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This commitment is exemplified by the convening of extraordinary summits and high-level meetings specifically focused on the situation in Palestine. These gatherings serve as platforms for member states to collectively discuss, strategize, and coordinate efforts to address the evolving dynamics of the conflict. In essence, the OIC's ongoing commitment to the Palestine issue in 2023 and beyond is characterized by diplomatic activism, a steadfast dedication to addressing immediate crises, and a long-term vision for a just and a comprehensive resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Let's go directly to our guest, our special guest for this very show. Mumtaz, Zahra, Baloch, let's start with the OIC. The OIC is a very important platform, has always been for the Muslim countries across the world. Now that there is an emergency meeting, an emergency summit that is happening in Riyadh as we speak, for which Mr. Kakar is already there, it's going to happen tomorrow. How important do you feel this is in the context of what is happening in Palestine? What role, in your point of view, or in Pakistan's official point of view, can our country play as far as not only highlighting the issue is concerned, but also doing concrete steps?
Thank you. Actually, Pakistan, like rest of the Islamic world, is very concerned about the situation in Gaza and the humanitarian crisis that has emerged because of incessant bombing of civilian infrastructure, of the people of Gaza, and the siege which has now taken over a month now, as a result of which the people of Gaza are really suffering, and the death toll has really risen to alarming proportions. And Pakistan, like the rest of the Islamic world, has presented its viewpoint internationally, and we have also made an effort to develop an international consensus, starting with OIC, but going beyond OIC at the United Nations as well. Pakistan played a key role in developing a consensus around a UNGA resolution which was adopted with overwhelming majority a few weeks ago. And our basic aim is to have an immediate ceasefire and opening of humanitarian corridors and lifting of the siege, so that the people of Gaza can breathe again. And we also want to ensure that this war theater does not go beyond the existing framework. And with that perspective in mind, we have been working with countries of OIC, including in the preparatory process for the summit that is going to take place tomorrow. Our senior officials are in Riyadh working with other OIC countries to develop a consensus, to come up with with a statement which will clearly highlight the concerns of the Islamic Ummah on this very concerning issue.
During one of your statements when you were addressing the media, you yourself rejected nuclear attacks. I mean, this is the point of view of the Foreign Office as well, official point of view, rejecting nuclear attacks or a nuclear holocaust on Gaza. This was a statement that came from one of the Israeli ministers. How important is the de-escalation in that respect? Because if I don't think this will happen, but just the mere mention of it sends shivers down the spine. How important is it for a world to be to not escalate to that level?
It is critical because there is already an environment where one occupying power is has unleashed a situation for Palestinians, where the Palestinians are facing ethnic cleansing, and according to many experts, the situation is going towards genocide. And when we hear statements like the statement you are referring to about a nuclear holocaust, then that is something which is very alarming, and the international community must condemn it, and it must take steps to de-escalate the situation so that even mention of such words are unacceptable to the rest of the world.
Ma'am, Anthony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, went to the Middle East to highlight the West's point of view on this conflict. Then he went to Turkey, and now he's in India. He's going to talk to Narendra Modi on this very conflict. How does Pakistan see these diplomatic efforts that are being made by the US, and what's Pakistan's stance on these?
Our position, as I said earlier, is that Pakistan, like the rest of the world, like the majority of the international community, as reflected in the UNGA resolution, calls for cessation of hostility and an immediate ceasefire. And we have called on the backers of Israel to impress on Israel to agree to an immediate and complete ceasefire, so that humanitarian assistance can flow in, the siege may be lifted, and an environment may be created for resolution of the Palestinian question, which has been outstanding for the last several decades.
Iran sees an expansion, ma'am, as far as this conflict is concerned. A lot of other countries are also very apprehensive of tipping point as far as this conflict is concerned. How does Pakistan see the role of regional actors such as Iran, such as Turkey, in mediating and de-escalating this crisis?
We will support any effort that leads to de-escalation, that leads to ceasefire, that leads to lifting of the siege, that leads to humanitarian relief for the people of Gaza, and that ensures that this conflict does not spread beyond the current theater of war. And in that respect, we are within the context of OIC consulting with other countries, including the countries that you have mentioned, but there are other countries like Qatar and Saudi Arabia, who also have an important role in the Middle East, and other actors, the backers of Israel. We would like to work together to ensure that peace prevails, and the people of Gaza, the suffering that they are facing, ends as early as possible.
What the people of Gaza and the people of West Bank also need is humanitarian aid. A lot of countries are doing, including Pakistan. Pakistan sent recently its second consignment to Gaza. What is the update as far as these consignments that Pakistan has sent for the people of Gaza? Have they been received well by the people in Gaza? Are they still in process? What's the update on that?
As you know, Gaza is basically under siege and blockade. So it is not possible for any country to send assistance directly into Gaza. What we have done is we have taken the route of Egypt, sent the assistance to the Egyptian Red Crescent Society, which has taken that assistance and handed it over to the Palestinian Red Crescent Society. Our first consignment, which included blankets and tents and medicine, that has already reached Gaza. The second consignment, which was recently sent a few days ago, has reached Egypt, and it is in the pipeline for Gaza, and we hope it would reach there very soon.
All right. What is the Pakistani perspective as far as this OIC summit is concerned? I understand, and we all know what Pakistan's role in the OIC is concerned and how important Pakistan feels the OIC is as a regional organization. But what is going to be Pakistan's stance this time in this summit?
Our stance is the same. That what we have said repeatedly, our first priority is an immediate ceasefire and lifting of the siege and relief to the people of Gaza. And that is something that our Prime Minister will be highlighting. That is something that our Foreign Minister will highlight in his engagement with the foreign ministers of OIC countries, and that is something that our senior officials have been pressing for in our negotiations on the outcome document. And this conference is very important. The outcome that will come out will be the collective voice of the membership of OIC, and that is why it is critical that we have a common stance, a consensus emerges, and that is something that Pakistan will propagate further and to take it to the United Nations. And most important, we believe the role is that of the United Nations Security Council, which is under the Charter given the responsibility for international peace. So we will urge United Nations Security Council to play its role as mandated by the UN Charter.
All right. Also, when we come to the OIC, I understand Pakistan's role and what Pakistan's stance is going to be. What are Pakistan's expectations from the other member countries of the OIC?
Pakistan has been engaged with other members of OIC countries. We have been, you see, this is not the first meeting that is taking place. A few weeks ago, there was a meeting of the Executive Committee on Palestine of the OIC, and in this meeting as well there was a comprehensive document that came out, and that highlighted the collective position of OIC member countries. And we are hoping that the outcome that will come out of the summit tomorrow will be a clear enunciation of the position of the OIC as a collective voice against this atrocity that is being committed against the people of Palestine.
All right. I'd like to refer to what President Joe Biden said. He called on Israel to obey the laws of war and expressed frustration with the duration of the conflict. How does Pakistan see the US? How important do you feel Pakistan sees the role of the US as well to mediate and to find a just solution to this current conflict, whether it be in the form of a ceasefire and in the long run, whether it be in the form of a two-state solution?
You know, United States is a very important country. It is a permanent member of the UN Security Council. It has influence with Israel, and we hope that as a permanent member of the Security Council, and not just the United States, but all members of the United Nations Security Council will play their part in ensuring that peace prevails, that the atrocities which are being committed against the people of Gaza come to an end, and that war crimes which we have witnessed with the attacks against civilian targets, including hospitals and ambulances and civilian populations, that would that would come to an end. And we believe that the United States has an important role to play in that regard.
All right. So does the European Union, in my point of view. Speaking of the European Union and the US as well, a lot of protests have been garnering across all the different countries in the West to highlight the support for the Palestinian people. Even people from the Jewish faith in all of these countries have come side by side with the Muslims and other people of other faiths to highlight the atrocities and to ask for a cessation of the hostilities. How important is this movement in your point of view?
I would basically share with you that Pakistan sees this current crisis as a test of conscience for people around the world. And it is important that when we see atrocities being committed, when we see crimes against humanity being committed, people of conscience come forward and protest and make their voices heard. Countries also should reflect this important international voice, and we hope that going forward this voice will gain momentum and the international community will stand together in urging Israel to end its atrocities, to end the crimes against humanity that are taking place, and to bring relief to the people of Gaza.
Ma'am, how do you see the role of the media as far as highlighting this conflict in Palestine is concerned? You are regularly in contact, you also do a briefing for the media in Pakistan and of course the other international media as well. How do you see the role of media in propagating what is actually happening in Palestine, in Gaza, in Pakistan? The media in Pakistan, I'd like to understand how you see the role of the media in Pakistan.
You know, the reality is what is happening inside Gaza, it has pained people of Pakistan, and it has really disturbed our people who are waiting to hear more about what is happening inside Gaza, and media is playing its part in highlighting the atrocities that are taking place in Gaza. It is important that the news from Gaza come out. There have been several instances where Israelis placed a blackout and the news weren't coming out. And it is important therefore for the media around the world to bring to light the reality of what is going on inside Gaza.
Pakistan's role has been extremely important, ma'am, as far as regional organizations or even its presence within the region or the world is concerned. Our Prime Minister just recently returned from an ECO summit, the 16th summit, that was quite important not only for the countries involved but for Pakistan as well. I would like to quote what Mr. Kakar said at the ECO summit while he addressed the summit. He said, Pakistan looks forward to working closely with the other ECO countries towards the shared goal of building a peaceful, prosperous and interconnected Afghanistan. How important is the role of ECO countries, including Pakistan, to stabilize Afghanistan?
First of all, ECO, as you know, is a regional organization with Pakistan, Iran and Turkey as the founding members, and then the addition of Afghanistan and the Central Asian countries. And our shared vision is that of connectivity, of regional trade and mutual prosperity. And in order to reach that goal, the role of Afghanistan is critical, because Afghanistan is the gateway to Central Asia, not just for Pakistan but for Iran and Turkey as well, and that is why it has been an important priority for ECO to have peace and stability in Afghanistan, and we would like to work with our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan and with our brothers and sisters in ECO countries to ensure that there is peace in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan plays its part in realization of this vision of mutual prosperity and connectivity in terms of trade and energy security.
How do you see the relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan in the wake of the infiltration of outfits from the Afghan soil into Pakistan, for which Pakistan has time and again highlighted to the Afghan authorities, to the Afghan interim government? What kind of solution does Pakistan look forward to from Afghanistan as far as a cessation of such hostilities or infiltration is concerned?
Pakistan has always said that we want peaceful, friendly ties with all our neighbors, and that includes Afghanistan. We are peoples who have lived together for centuries, and we will continue to live together for coming centuries as well. And it is important that we work together for mutual prosperity and peace. And there is one concern that Pakistan has that we have articulated and conveyed to our Afghan partners, that terrorism should not emanate from Afghanistan and threaten Pakistan. There are terrorist outfits and hideouts inside Afghanistan, on which Pakistan has expressed its concern to Afghanistan on several occasions. And as you know, the Prime Minister also spoke about it 2-3 days ago. And it is important that Afghanistan takes effective measures against these terror outfits, as it has promised Pakistan and as it has promised the international community that Afghan territory will not become a staging ground for terrorism around the world, including against Pakistan. So we hope and expect that they would take effective action against these terrorist outfits.
Now, speaking of the international community, how does our Prime Minister and our government in Pakistan see the role of the international community in supporting Pakistan's efforts for counter-terrorism?
First of all, Pakistan is capable, it has the ability and it has the will to fight this threat. It is a threat, but we have in the past defeated terrorist forces, and we believe that we can defeat it again as well. We do need cooperation from, especially from Afghanistan, so that these terrorist outfits, which have hideouts and sanctuaries inside Afghanistan, do not threaten Pakistan. We would also like to learn about terrorist counterterrorism mechanisms from the experience of other countries, but we believe that we have full capability to fight this threat and defeat it.
How do you see this current move of the repatriation of illegally present foreigners from Pakistani soil to their respective countries? And this is not just for Afghanistan, but other countries as well that are included in it. How do you see the progress as far as this process is concerned?
See, the illegal foreigners repatriation plan, it started implementation only a few days ago, from the 1st of November. And we have seen that there is a positive momentum. Already before 1st of November, we saw hundreds of thousands of people leaving Pakistan on their own accord. And we are hoping that this process will gain momentum going forward as well. As you mentioned, it is very clear, first of all, that this is not specific to any nationality. It is focused on all individuals who are in Pakistan in violation of our immigration laws. So any nationality that they may belong to, this policy will apply to them. Secondly, we have clarified, and we should be very clear about it, that this repatriation does not apply to individuals who have confirmed refugee status inside Pakistan. And thirdly, Pakistan has said that we will be sensitive to some of the tricky cases where individuals may have concerns about their return to Afghanistan. And lastly, we are in contact and dialogue with our partners which are ready to accept some Afghans for settlement, and the process is ongoing, and once there is clarity, we hope that these individuals are able to leave leave Pakistan at the earliest, and we expect our Western friends to initiate the visas and approval processes as early as possible.
Do you feel this is going to be a long drawn out process, this repatriation, or do you feel this is going to be slow and steady, or is it going to end within a month or a couple of weeks' time? What is the expectation from the Pakistan side?
Well, what the government has said is that this will be an orderly and phased process, and we will also be very careful in ensuring that there is a humane approach in dealing with such cases. At the same time, we also have to ensure that there is a steady stream of individuals who are reaching the borders, and there is no overwhelming of our border officials and posts. So with that in mind, this will be a steady process, and I do not have an exact timeline that I can give to you.
But it's going to be a gradual process. I'd like to refer to what our caretaker Prime Minister said at the ECO summit, and he said that he continues to rely on the fraternal ECO countries to support the exercise of the right to self-determination by the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in the light of the relevant UNSC resolutions. In your point of view, how can organizations like the OIC, like the ECO, like the United Nations, like the SCO work to give the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir their due right to self-determination?
You see, what we are seeing right now in the Middle East, the situation of people of Palestine, it is a reminder that cases where individuals have not been given their due right to self-determination, and where despite the UN resolutions, these cases, there would always be issues in terms of peace and security, and the occupying powers would one day or the other come in and create a humanitarian situation and basically make the lives of these individuals very difficult. So we do not want a similar repeat in IIOJK. It is therefore important that international community realizes the importance of resolving all such cases like Palestine, like Kashmir, and resolve these issues as early as possible as per the UN Security Council resolutions, so that they do not turn into humanitarian emergencies.
When you look at what is happening actually, whether it be the demographic changes that are happening in the Hill Valley, or the other atrocities that are continuously happening at a certain pace, and with the fact also that the Indian elections are about to happen next year, and the fact also that India does not mince its words or doesn't hide any opportunity to pinpoint Pakistan when it comes to playing the victim game, or the how do you see Pakistan's response in that regard, and do you feel that the international community is cognizant of such nefarious activities that are emanating from the Indian side, not since now but since many years, specifically since the Narendra Modi government came into power?
You see, what India is trying to do right now in IIOJK is a very concerted campaign. First of all, they are trying to resettle individuals from outside in Kashmir, so that Kashmiris become a minority, a disempowered minority in their own land. Secondly, they are giving an impression to the rest of the world that everything is fine, while at the same time suppressing the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And in that respect, sometimes they they basically resort to certain stunts like holding international conferences or seminars and giving a wrong impression to the world that everything is normal in Kashmir. Another important strand of their policy is to give an impression to the rest of the world that the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir are terrorists, and they do not have a right to self-determination, and they try to basically malign the freedom movement in IIOJK. So with that outlook, it is clear that Pakistan has a very consistent position. We have tried to highlight to the rest of the world what the Indian designs are, that the people of Jammu and Kashmir have a right to self-determination as promised to them by the United Nations Security Council several decades ago. And at the same time, the Indian narrative of normalcy, we believe, is not being bought by anyone. Still today, the international community considers Jammu and Kashmir as a disputed territory. It is still on the agenda of the United Nations, and United Nations still considers Jammu and Kashmir as a disputed territory. So with that, we believe that it is important that international community continues to work for settlement of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute as promised to them by the United Nations.
Finally, on this very issue, I'd like to understand, Pakistan time and again, ma'am, has gone to different fora, whether it be the United Nations or other fora, has highlighted during the speeches of our heads of government, and Kashmir has always been on the forefront of the addresses to these international moods. What impact do you feel Pakistan has had on the international community, when it concerns its the legal rights of the people who illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and to highlight that they be given this due right to self-determination to them? Secondly, the involvement of India in Pakistan in different activities to destabilize Pakistan, whether it be a narrative on the international front, whether it be a narrative on the national front, whether it be internal destabilization through the use of Indian agents. We have one in custody. How has Pakistan worked to highlight that on different fora, and what has been the world reaction to that?
Pakistan has been strongly highlighting the situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir at every international forums, including the United Nations, including the OIC, and including ECO, as you mentioned, and the Prime Minister spoke about it, and in our bilateral engagement with our partners around the world. In doing so, we have highlighted the atrocities that India is committing, the international violations of international law that it is committing, and highlighting the United Nations Security Council resolutions which are critical to the settlement of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute. As far as India's intervention is concerned, India has been involved in activities, espionage and intelligence-based operations inside Pakistan, but not just Pakistan, but in South Asia. It has been involved in abductions, it has been involved in assassinations, and recently we have seen that this network of espionage and assassination has gone global. So the international community is definitely concerned how India has basically violated international norms and is going in this direction.
All right. Thank you so very much, ma'am Mumtaz Zahra Baloch, to have joined us, to have talked to us on so many important issues from a Pakistani perspective. We wanted to have an official point of view, whether it be the OIC, that is extremely pertinent in the wake of what is happening in Palestine, whether it be the ECU in Afghanistan, whether it be Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Nobody better than yourself to give us a first-hand information of what Pakistan stands for, of what Pakistan intends to do, and what Pakistan has been doing since the last few years to highlight these different issues, and of course Pakistan's stance on these very important topics. Thank you very much to have joined us. Kindly stay online with us just 5 more minutes till we finish the show.
Thank you.
We have to go to our last story, and that concerns the PSX that continues its bullish momentum. It has the KSE 100 has crossed 55,000 level for the very first time in history, and the all share index also breaks its all-time high and has reached 36,715.71 points. Pakistan economically is getting strong. The government is taking the right measures nationally, internationally, and of course we are seeing a stability as far as our country is concerned, and this is only the beginning of a new era as far as Pakistan is concerned. We hope that this bullish trend continues. We hope that the dollar continues to descend, and the rupee continues to also ascend, and of course stabilize itself under the global currencies. And of course Pakistan stand in all the international issues that Pakistan has been highlighted is listened to, and the right reaction comes from the international community. Pakistan is there, our Prime Minister is there at the OIC Special Summit in Riyadh as we speak. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new story segments that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. Till then, stay safe. Allah Hafiz, and thank you so very much again, Ma'am Mumtaz Zahra Baloch, to have come to the studios to discuss all of these very important issues with us. Allah Hafiz, ladies and gentlemen.